My friends, life has a way of testing us through people. Sometimes the ones we let closest to our hearts are the very ones who cut the deepest. And when you've been broken, when someone has shattered your trust, your worth, your peace, the greatest temptation is to go back. To hope it'll be different, to believe the pain will turn into love again. But listen carefully, when someone has already shown you that they can break you, going back is not healing, it's reopening the wound. The past doesn't transform because of wishful thinking. It transforms when you decide you will never again allow your spirit to be dishonored. This is about valuing your soul, your boundaries, your future more than the comfort of the familiar. When you go back, you're telling life, I don't deserve better. When you walk forward, you're declaring, I am worthy of more than this. And that decision shapes the rest of your destiny. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers, yet most people run from it, numb it, or pretend it doesn't exist. But pain is not your enemy, it's your guide. It's the signal that something inside you must change, that something outside you no longer serves you. When someone breaks you, the pain you feel is not there to destroy you. It's there to shape you into someone who will never tolerate that kind of treatment again. The wound screams at you, not to drag you down, but to wake you up. When we get hurt, we often confuse the experience of pain with our identity. We start to believe if they left me, maybe I'm not enough. If they betrayed me, maybe I'm unworthy. That's the greatest lie pain can trick you into believing. Pain is not proof that you're unworthy. Pain is evidence that you trusted, that you opened, that you dared to love. And while someone may have misused that gift, it doesn't mean you lose the value of who you are. Pain simply reminds you that it's time to rise, not to settle. Think of pain like fire. If you touch a flame, it burns you. That burn is not meant to make you live inside the fire forever. It's a signal to pull your hand away. Yet how many people stay in toxic relationships, reliving betrayal after betrayal, because they confuse pain with love? You don't stay in the flame. You don't call the fire home. You step back, learn the lesson, and make sure you never touch it again in the same way. The truth is, pain always brings you a gift. It doesn't feel like it in the moment, but it's teaching you clarity. It shows you what you value most. It reveals where you've been betraying yourself by accepting less than you deserve. And it forces you to draw boundaries that perhaps you were too afraid to set before. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every moment of suffering, those are not dead ends, they're messages, they're turning points. They're the moments that sculpt your future if you let them. But here's the danger. Too many people build a house in the middle of their pain. They stay stuck in the story of who hurt them, what was done to them, and why life isn't fair. They replay the betrayal like a broken record until it becomes their identity. And the problem with that is simple. If you keep reliving the pain, you never move beyond it. Pain is supposed to be a teacher, not a permanent address. Imagine this, if you were driving down the road and saw a giant warning sign that said "Bridge out ahead." Would you stop your car, pitch a tent, and leave under the sign? No. You would turn around, find a different path, and keep moving forward. That's exactly how pain works. It's the giant sign life puts on your path, saying, not this way, not anymore. Learn, adjust, and grow. Yet some people mistake the sign for destiny. They sit in the middle of the road and convince themselves it's the end of the journey. It's not the end, it's the redirection. The question becomes, will you let your pain teach you, or will you let it trap you? That choice is always in your hands. No matter how deep the wound, you always hold the power to decide that this is not where your story ends. You can rise, you can rebuild, you can create again. But only if you treat pain as information, not as identity. You see, every time pain enters your life, it carves space inside you for strength, for compassion, for resilience. People who have never been broken don't truly know their power. They don't know the depth of what they can survive, but you, because you've been through it, you carry wisdom that no book can teach. You carry strength that no easy path could ever give you. That's the gift of pain. It doesn't leave you empty. It leaves you expanded if you're willing to see it that way. The worst thing you can do with pain is numb it, because when you numb pain, you also numb joy. When you bury pain, it grows roots and shows up later in your life disguised as anger, fear, or insecurity. But when you face it, when you let yourself fully feel the heartbreak, the betrayal, the disappointment, you take back your power. Pain loses its grip when you stop running from it and start listening to it. So the next time life breaks you, ask yourself, what is this pain trying to teach me? What is it trying to protect me from in the future? What standard is it asking me to raise? That's the real breakthrough. Not pretending you're okay when you're not, but facing the hurt head on and using it as fuel to grow stronger than you've ever been. Understand this, people who broke you are not your destiny, they were your lesson. They were the mirror that reflected the boundaries you needed to set, the love you needed to give yourself, the strength you didn't know you had. And the moment you honor that lesson, you free yourself from needing to ever go back to them again. You may have been broken, but you are not ruined. You may have been hurt, but you are not hopeless. The scar you carry is not a sign of weakness. It's proof of survival. And every time you look at it, let it remind you, this pain taught me, this pain grew me, this pain prepared me for the future I deserve. Because pain, when embraced, becomes power, it becomes clarity. It becomes a compass pointing you away from destruction and toward your destiny. That is why you must never see pain as a destination. It's simply a teacher guiding you to the highest version of yourself. Familiarity has a seductive pull. It whispers in your ear, go back, you know this place, you know this person, even though it hurt, at least it feels safe. That's the trick of the mind. It convinces you that because something is known, it must be better than the unknown. But that's the trap. Familiarity doesn't equal love, it doesn't equal safety, and it certainly doesn't equal growth. Familiarity can chain you to the very place you prayed to be free from. You see, the human brain is wired for certainty. It craves patterns, routines, and environments it already understands. Even if those environments are toxic, the brain resists the unfamiliar because uncertainty feels like danger. That's why so many people run back to the arms of someone who has already broken them. It's not always about love, it's about comfort, it's about the illusion of security, but the truth is that comfort is costing you your future. When you return to someone who hurt you, you're not choosing love, you're choosing familiarity. And familiarity is a cage. It might feel warm at first, but it will suffocate you in the long run. The brain clings to what it knows, but the soul craves what it deserves. And until you choose to break free from the cycle of the familiar, you'll keep reliving the same heartbreak, the same betrayal, the same story on repeat. Think about it. How many times have you known deep down that something wasn't good for you, yet you went back anyway? You told yourself, this time will be different, they've changed, things will get better. But inside, you knew the truth. You weren't going back because of hope. You were going back because the unknown felt terrifying. Better the devil you know, right, wrong. That mindset is the very reason so many people stay stuck in lives they hate, relationships that break them, and cycles that rob them of their destiny. The unknown feels scary, yes, but it is also the only place where growth can happen. If you keep choosing what's familiar, you will keep choosing the same pain. If you dare to step into the unfamiliar, you open the door to new possibilities, new love, new life. The trap of familiarity is that it convinces you the pain you know is safer than the freedom you don't know. But the truth, that's just fear lying to you. The heart knows when it's not being honored. Deep inside, you already feel the tension. You already sense that going back is wrong, but fear tricks you into silence. It tells you that leaving means loneliness, that stepping into the unknown means you'll fail, that you'll regret it. But regret doesn't come from moving forward. It comes from staying stuck in a place you know you were never meant to remain. Familiarity is like quicksand. At first, it looks harmless. It looks like solid ground, but the longer you stand in it, the deeper you sink, and the harder it becomes to pull yourself out. You don't escape quicks, and by standing still, you escape by reaching for something new, something beyond what's holding you down, and that means choosing the discomfort of growth over the comfort of repetition. You deserve more than recycled pain. You deserve more than someone who has already proven they can break you. But the moment you let familiarity dictate your choices, you're telling yourself that you'd rather be broken in a place you know than healed in a place you've never been. That's how powerful the trap is. It convinces you to choose known suffering over unknown freedom. Here's the truth. Everything you've ever wanted lives on the other side of discomfort. Growth is not familiar. Healing is not familiar. Transformation is not familiar. The reason it feels uncomfortable is because you're breaking the pattern. And that's exactly what must happen if you want to live a life that's bigger than your past. If you keep chasing the comfort of the old, you'll never step into the greatness of the new. Sometimes the hardest thing you'll ever do is leave what's familiar. You'll shake, you'll doubt yourself, you'll feel the pull to go back. But that moment is the defining line between staying in the prison of the past and walking into the freedom of your future. Familiarity is not your friend, it's your jailer. And every time you choose to go back, you're handing the keys back to your own cell. But when you dare to resist the pull, something shifts. When you refuse to return to what broke you, you begin to rewire your brain. You teach yourself that discomfort is survivable, that loneliness is temporary, that uncertainty is a doorway, not a death sentence. And that rewiring gives you strength. It gives you resilience. It gives you the courage to face the unknown and create something better, because the unknown is not empty. It's filled with possibility. It's filled with opportunities that you will never see as long as you keep looking backward. Familiarity keeps you small. The unknown makes you grow. And when you stop letting the trap of familiarity dictate your life, you open yourself up to a future that is greater than anything you could imagine. So remember this: familiarity may feel safe, but it's the kind of safety that kills your spirit. Don't mistake the comfort of repetition for love or loyalty or destiny. If someone broke you once and you go back, you're giving them permission to do it again. But if you step into the unfamiliar, you're giving yourself permission to finally live, to finally love, to finally rise. Every broken relationship, every betrayal, every heartbreak carries within it one core lesson: your worth. When you go back to someone who has already shattered you, it's not really about them. It's about what you believe about yourself. It's not their actions alone that keep you stuck. It's your level of self-worth that determines whether you stay or whether you rise. The real breakthrough is not getting them to change. It's remembering who you are and refusing to accept less than you deserve ever again. Self-worth is the invisible line that defines what you allow in your life. It is the standard you set, consciously or unconsciously, that teaches the world how to treat you. If your self-worth is low, you'll settle for breadcrumbs, mistaking them for a feast. You'll believe that toxic love is better than no love, that attention, even when it hurts, is better than silence. But when your self-worth rises, everything changes. You stop begging for love and start embodying it. You stop waiting for someone else to validate you and realize you already hold the pen to write your story. Think about it. Why do people return to those who have broken them? Because at some level, they don't believe they deserve better. They think the pain they've been given is equal to the love they're worthy of. But hear this truth: your worth is not defined by how someone treated you. Your worth is unshakable. It doesn't rise when someone loves you, and it doesn't fall when someone leaves you. It is constant, eternal, and it lives within you regardless of what anyone else has done. When you awaken to your true worth, you stop negotiating your value with people who don't see it. You stop trying to convince someone to stay, to love you properly, to treat you with respect, because you realize that anyone who can't see your value is simply not your person. Your worth doesn't diminish in their blindness. It only shines brighter the moment you stop settling for their half. Love, self-worth is power. It's the shield that protects you from repeating cycles of pain. It's the voice that rises up and says no more. It's the force that carries you out of brokenness and into wholeness. Without self-worth, you'll always feel pulled back to what broke you. But with self-worth, you'll never again entertain the thought of returning, because you'll know your future is far too precious to be spent in the ruins of the past. Let me tell you this: self-worth is not something you wait to feel. It's something you decide to claim. It's not about waiting for someone to treat you right to feel worthy. It's about declaring right now, in the middle of your pain, I am enough, I am deserving, I am valuable. That declaration is the beginning of everything. Because once you believe it, your actions align with it. And when your actions align, your entire life shifts. But here's the challenge: brokenness distorts your perception. When someone breaks you, you begin to see yourself through the cracks. You see yourself as fragile, as unwanted, as unworthy. You forget the truth of who you are. That's why the work of healing is the work of remembering that you are not the betrayal, you are not the heartbreak. You are not the abandonment, you are bigger than all of it, and no matter what someone did to you, they cannot erase the truth of your worth. When you truly embody self-worth, you stop being afraid of being alone. Because you realize that being alone is far less painful than being with someone who doesn't honor your soul. Loneliness is temporary, but staying in a broken place will drain you forever. When you know your worth, you no longer chase what diminishes you. You no longer beg for validation. You no longer settle for less than the love you were created for. You'd rather stand alone in your power than shrink yourself for the sake of someone who cannot see you. Self-worth doesn't just change your relationships, it transforms every part of your life. It affects the way you show up in your career, the way you speak to yourself, the way you treat your body, the way you chase your dreams. Because once you raise your worth, you raise your standards in every arena. You stop saying yes to what drains you and start saying yes to what elevates you. And that ripple effect creates a life of alignment, a life that reflects who you truly are. So many people wait for others to validate their worth before they choose it themselves. They think, once someone loves me, then I'll feel enough. Once I get that relationship, then I'll believe in myself. But that's backward. The world reflects what you already believe inside. If you don't see yourself as worthy, you'll unconsciously attract people who confirm that belief. But the moment you choose worthiness, you attract people who reflect that back to you. You don't get what you want. You get what you believe you deserve, and here's the most liberating truth: worthiness is not earned. You don't earn it by being perfect, by being chosen, by being loved. You were born worthy. It's your birthright. The only thing that strips it away is forgetting it, and the only thing you need to do is remember it. Every single day, remind yourself, I am worthy of respect, I am worthy of love, I am worthy of peace, I am worthy of joy. Not because of what anyone else says, but because it's the truth. When you step into that knowing, you will never again go back to someone who has already broken you. Not because you hate them, not because you hold bitterness, but because you honor yourself too much to return. You'll realize that your time, your energy, your love, your soul are sacred. And once something is sacred, you don't give it away to people who can't handle it. You protect it, you nurture it, and you give it only to those who cherish it. The real breakthrough is not about changing them, it's about changing you. It's about no longer waiting for permission to know your worth. It's about standing tall even in the face of loneliness and declaring that you are enough. Because when you know your worth, you will never again let someone break you the same way, and that shift, that inner rising, is the foundation of everything. The past is seductive. It pulls at you with memories, with comfort, with the illusion that maybe if you return, it will be different. But here's the reality: the past cannot give you a future. What broke you cannot build you. What drained you cannot elevate you. The only direction that leads to growth, to healing, to transformation is forward. Forward is the language of life. Forward is the direction of destiny. Every time you look back, you're giving energy to what no longer exists. The relationship that hurt you is gone. The chapter that broke you is finished. But your mind plays tricks. It replays the highlights, the laughter, the moments of sweetness, and it convinces you that maybe it's worth revisiting. That's nostalgia, not reality. Nostalgia is a liar. It edits out the pain, it censors the betrayal, and it tricks you into thinking the past was safer than it was. But reality is that forward is the only place you'll find the healing you crave. Growth doesn't happen in reverse. You cannot heal by returning to the scene of the wound. You heal by stepping into new ground, new environments, new choices. Forward is uncomfortable, yes, it's unfamiliar. It demands courage, but it is the only path that leads to expansion. Staying stuck in the past is like trying to drive a car by staring in the rear-view mirror. You'll crash every single time. The rear-view mirror is for glances, not for living. Your windshield is wide for a reason, because your future is meant to be bigger than your past. When you move forward, you give yourself permission to create a new story. You stop rehearsing the pain and start rehearsing possibility. You begin to imagine what could be instead of clinging to what was. And in that shift, something powerful happens. Your heart starts to heal, not because someone from the past fixed it, but because you dared to move beyond it. Healing is not found by revisiting the same people who hurt you. It's found by planting yourself in new soil where love, respect, and growth can take root. But forward requires faith. Faith that even though you can't see the outcome yet, the future is worth it. Faith that even though you may walk alone for a season, that loneliness is better than the false companionship of someone who breaks you. Faith that life is not done with you, that better days are ahead, that what's waiting for you is greater than what you've left behind. Without faith, the temptation to return will always feel stronger. But when faith is alive, it pulls you forward like a magnet, and make no mistake. Forward isn't just a direction, it's a decision. You have to decide every single day not to look back. Because the past will always call to you. It will always whisper, remember how it felt, remember how it used to be. But the truth is, if it was truly right for you, it wouldn't have broken you. That's the evidence you need. The pain was the proof. The betrayal was the answer. The heartbreak was the closure. Forward is the only real choice if you want peace. Moving forward doesn't mean you forget. It means you stop letting what happened define what's possible. You carry the lessons, not the chains. You honor the experience, but you refuse to be enslaved by it. Because the moment you carry the past like a burden, you weigh down your future. But when you carry it like wisdom, you build a future that's stronger than anything you've walked through. Forward is where freedom lives. Forward is where new love lives. Forward is where your highest self is waiting. Every dream, every breakthrough, every opportunity you've been praying for, it doesn't exist in the rearview mirror. It exists in the road ahead, and if you keep looking backward, you'll miss it. Life can't hand you the new if your hands are still clinging to the old. You may feel fear. That's normal. Fear says, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? What if I get hurt again? But let me tell you this, you will get hurt again if you go back to what broke you. That's not a risk, it's a guarantee. Moving forward doesn't promise perfection, but it promises progress, and progress is always worth the risk. Because every step forward takes you further away from the prison of your past and closer to the promise of your future. The people who truly rise in life are not the ones who never get hurt. They are the ones who refuse to stay hurt. They are the ones who refuse to turn backward. They are the ones who walk forward even with scars, even with fear, even with uncertainty. And that's the path available to you right now. You don't need permission. You don't need someone else's approval. You don't even need clarity for the whole road ahead. All you need is the courage to take the next step. Forward means choosing you. It means choosing your healing, your peace, your worth, your destiny. It means saying, I will not recycle pain just because it feels familiar. I will not return to what destroyed me just because I'm afraid of the unknown. I am moving forward even if I tremble because I know my future is worth it. That choice changes everything. That choice is the line between repeating history and creating destiny. And when you finally embrace forward, you'll look back one day and wonder why you ever wanted to return. You'll see how small that broken place was compared to the life you built. You'll realize that forward wasn't just the right direction. It was the only direction. The future will prove that leaving was the best decision you ever made, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Because forward is the only way you grow. Forward is the only way you heal. Forward is the only way you truly become who you were created to be.